They don't want you to hear this, but Elon Musk just dropped a bombshell that could change everything we've been told about foreign wars, secret funding, and where your tax dollars are really going. Stay tuned, because once you hear this, you'll never see the government the same way again.
Is Adaji. I probably mispronounced that, my apologies. Anyway, they got $1.5 million to, quote, advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. What else did Mr. Musk found that my colleagues don't want to talk about? Well, he reviewed a study and then went and checked it. The study was done by the Middle East Forum. They found that USAID spent $164 million to support radical organizations around the world. We're not talking Cub Scout troops here. We're talking about radical organizations around the world. They gave $122 million of that to groups aligned with foreign terrorist organizations. Our taxpayer money. According to this report in Mr. Musk, the USAID has given millions of dollars to, quote, organizations in Gaza controlled by Hamas. Why aren't my colleagues talking about that? Recipients of the money, they found, have, quote, called for their lands to be cleansed from the impurity of Jews. That's what we're giving foreign aid to. What else? I'm not going to spend my whole time talking about this, but nobody else is talking about it. They're just talking about the process and Mr. Musk, and he's a mean guy, and he shouldn't be looking at our spending. Well, he is. And I kind of find what he's found out interesting. He found that we gave $2 million, USAID did, for sex changes in Guatemala. He found that we gave $20 million to produce a new Sesame Street show in Iraq. He found that we gave $4.5 million of taxpayer money to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. He found that we gave $10 million, USAID did, of meals to an al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group called the Nusra Front. Mr. Musk found that we gave $7.9 million of taxpayer money to a project that would teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gendered language. The USAID took $8 million and gave it to a bunch of journalists in Sri Lanka to teach them how to avoid binary gendered language. I don't know what the hell binary gendered language is. I think I do. You think most taxpayers would support that? Why aren't we talking about that? The USAID gave $1.5 million to promote LGBT advocacy in Jamaica. They gave $1.5 million to rebuild the Cuban media ecosystem. They gave $1.5 million for, quote, art for inclusion of people with disabilities in Belarus. Another $3.9 million for LGBT causes in Macedonia. $8.3 million for equity and inclusion education in Nepal. I could go all night. And many of my colleagues are upset. They're really mad at Mr. Musk. Hell, I think we ought to give him a medal. All he's doing is what President Trump said he was going to do. President Trump said he's going to audit the spending. So Trump goes and hires Musk, again with a top secret security clearance. Nobody can quibble with his intelligence, you know. The guy's as smart as Einstein's cousin. He's a very successful businessman. Some say he's the richest guy in the world. And he's doing the auditing. And man, he's finding a lot of stuff. I call it spending porn. Now, I'm not saying everything that USAID does is wasted. But I'm saying a lot of it is. A hell of a lot of it is. And we ought to be on the floor of this United States Senate thanking Mr. Musk. And we ought to be asking him to go through every agency and look at everybody's budget. Everybody's budget. That's what the American people want. They don't want to talk about process. They don't want to continue with the Washington way. They want to save some money. Now, let me tell you what's really going on here, too, Mr. President. For 4 years under President Biden, and for 8 years under President Obama, and I respect both of them. I don't hate anybody. I don't. When I say my prayers at night, one of the things I ask God, God, don't let me hate, because it's hard in Washington. Don't let me hate. I have all the respect in the world for President Biden and President Obama. Tough job. But between them, they spend...
Welcome back to Jace Manhwa. Patriots, smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video right now. You're about to hear what Washington doesn't want you to know. President Trump made a promise, audit the federal budget line by line. And he handed the job to Elon Musk. Now the swamp is in full meltdown mode. Because Musk is exposing exactly where your tax dollars are going. We're talking millions to Afghanistan, Yemen, and Syria. $20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq. $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala. Millions to groups tied to Hamas. And yes, money to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language. Who asked for that? Our debt is $36 trillion. Spending has shot up 55% since 2019 while the population barely grew. But Biden just keeps adding more, $1.9 trillion for the rescue plan, $1.2 trillion for a Green New Deal infrastructure bill, $1 trillion for the Inflation Reduction Act, and $280 billion for big tech. The left isn't mad about the waste, they're mad it's being exposed. Because the Washington rule is, never question the spending. Well, patriots, we'd better question it before this country collapses. And overseas, the UN is pushing the UK to hand over our vital Diego Garcia military base to Mauritius, a move that would hand China a massive win. It's pure globalist insanity. Bottom line, Musk is doing the job every American taxpayer wants done. Audit everything. Cut the waste. Put America first. If you agree, subscribe to Jace Manhwa and share this now. The swamp fears the truth, so let's make sure everyone hears it.